Hello everyone, I am Surrendalot Reviews and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Generation 1 Transformers. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And random fact about my cat society is that the website font for their government website is quite literally Dracula. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the first episode, or first episodes, 5 of Season 3, and we are going to look at is The Five Faces of Darkness, Part 1 to 5, except it'll be over multiple episodes because, well, I have 5 parts to talk about. But where we basically get to know what happens after Transformers the movie. But without further ado, let's get into this! So the episode starts out, as the narrator so kindly put it,
It is the year 2005. The Great Wars are finally over, and the Autobots have won. But while the Autobots celebrate their victory with their new leader, Rodimus Prime, the surviving Decepticons, without a leader of their own and desperately low on Energon, have retreated to the burned-out planet of Char.
and you get to see how the Decepticons are taking their, not-so-great leadership crisis, because they're basically just fighting themselves for their next meal. And that happens up until Cyclonus comes in and does a very, not very tasteful salute, and basically rallies the Decepticons to more or less stop fighting and probably come to a plan. Meanwhile, with the Autobots, things are actually looking a lot better, because, you know, they're actually projecting peace and power and want to bring peace to the galaxy. But unfortunately, there are these mysterious figures here who don't exactly share that exact same goal, and create this, little attack here. And they end up kidnapping Ultra Magnus and a few others, so the remaining Autobots have to go find them. Meanwhile, with Cyclonus and the Sweeps, they decided to go take a bit of a detour off at Unicron, and basically find out where Galvatron might be so Galvatron can maybe take the reins of leading the Decepticons. And they find out that he is on this little, object here that really shouldn't be a planet named Thrall, where he apparently is somehow still alive. Meanwhile, with Blaster and this other guy here, well, this scene here.
This is Abdul Fakadi, Supreme Military Commander, President for Life, and King of Kings of the Socialist Democratic Federated Republic of Karbamia. I give no clearance to land. Do nothing to arouse my ire.
Okay, this is something I probably should mention, but, this is actually what got Casey Kasem, this guy here, who voiced Cliff Jumper Teltran 1 and also Blue Streak, to quit, because this character was so stereotypical and so offensive to Casey Kasem, who I believe was like Lebanese, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he found it offensive and quit. So yeah, I should probably remind you that some things in the show did not age that well, or really were that okay. Anyways, so Blaster and this other guy end up fighting 2 Decepticons in this country here, and they end up revealing where Char is. So Rodimus Prime decides to take Grimlock to go take a look at the Decepticons and go see if they kidnapped Ultra Magnus and the others. Meanwhile, with RC and Springer, they end up catching up to this bounty hunter guy that launched that attack from earlier, and he ends up tricking them into thinking that the Decepticons were behind the attack. But unfortunately, the people behind the attack were really these mysterious figures who actually currently have Ultra Magnus and the rest. Meanwhile, with Rodimus Prime and Grimlock, well, they end up finding the Decepticons and find out that they are in not really that great tip-top shape, and could probably not have kidnapped Ultra Magnus and the rest. And Cyclonus manages to rally the Decepticons to a common cause of finding Galvatron, and they also spot Rodimus Prime and Grimlock because Grimlock was being Grimlock, and, well, to be continued. Okay, for this episode, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, this one is not really pace the best, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, okay, I will say that it does have a strong setting about how the Autobots have won the Great Cybertronian Wars and are trying to bring peace and prosperity to the galaxy, and how the Decepticons are battered and broken, and how there's a new threat. But I'm also gonna say that, yeah, the pacing of this whole thing was not that great in this first episode, and I really think certain parts could have been taken out because, well, I'm currently having to focus on so many different plots at once, and that kind of makes this episode's plot just a cluttered mess, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I think I can also kind of get this on a lot of episodes in Season 3, and especially Season 4, but we'll get into that later. But other than that, I think the episode is a pretty mid-start to Season 3, and I think that it definitely does get better in Five Faces of Darkness, parts 2, 3, 4, and 5. At least better than part 1, where we actually get more time to, get things going. But other than that, without further ado, on to the next episode, which is Five Faces of Darkness Part 2, where we basically continue where we left off. Without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode begins right where we left off, with Grimlock and Rodimus having to fight the Decepticons. But unfortunately for the Decepticons, they don't really have weapons that, work. So, they're gonna basically just have to swarm Rodimus and Grimlock, and they do a pretty good job of that, up until Springer and RC come by and save both of them. And Cyclonus decides to take the Energon so that way he and the Sweeps can go find Galvatron to reunite the Decepticons, and maybe, give them a leader. Meanwhile, with Cup and crew, well, they're getting interrogated by these weird things that are really the Quintessons, and their interrogation is getting, well, nowhere. Meanwhile, with RC and crew, well, Rodimus Prime has basically died, or so it seems. But as it turns out, Rodimus is in fact not dead, and he's going on a bit of a trip inside the Matrix, where he finds out that it's really the Quintessons who might have actually kidnapped Ultra Magnus and crew, and they have to go to Quintessa to go, save them. Meanwhile, with Ultra Magnus and crew, they try to do a bit of a prison break from the Quintessons, but it doesn't go very well. And the Quintessons end up actually just sacrificing their own just to basically kill, 3 guys. Meanwhile, with Cyclonus, he ends up resurrecting Galvatron, but Galvatron, takes it less than ideally.
Disturbs my plasma bath?
Mighty Galvatron, we have come to deliver you from
the Empire of Ash? My bastion of brimstone writ! My kingdom of desolation! Did I ask you for deliverance? Did I? Cyclonus, how wonderful to see you again! Decepticons, your leader has returned! Long live the Empire! Long live Galvatron! Long live Galvatron!
Okay, boy, why do I get the feeling like the work culture of the Decepticons is gonna be getting spectacularly worse than usual. I mean, it was already bad enough under Megatron, you know, with Megatron being cruel, but at least he, most of the time, didn't attack his subordinates without really a reason. And say what you will about your worst bosses, they, more than likely, have not just begun their day just seeing you by immediately attacking you. So there's that. And I think morale in the Decepticons is gonna take a real nosedive with Galvatron. Meanwhile, with Rodimus and crew, well, they kind of, seem to have failed to rescue Cop and crew from the Quintessons. Meanwhile, with Galvatron,
These bears have made me more powerful than ever. But where am I to find the mighty legions who will follow me?
Sweeps and I shall serve as your elite guard, and the other Decepticons shall make excellent gun fodder.
Elite guards, you!
Mighty Galvatron, I have learned your lesson. I now know not only that you are the leader, but also why.
Luckily for Spike and crew back at Quintessa, well, as it turns out, Rodimus and crew are alive, and are ready to extract them. And luckily, the Autobot fleet is also there to save them. But unfortunately, the Quintessons managed to activate a bomb on their planet, and, well, their planet blows up with the Quintessons not on it. And the episode ends. And overall, I will say that The Five Faces of Darkness Part 2 is definitely better than Part 1. I mean, it is paced way better than Part 1, and I like how it also really introduces the Quintessons and also keeps them incredibly vague with how the Quintessons basically just said how the Autobots just stole Cybertron from them. And I also really like how that also explains their twisted sense of justice, like from Transformers the movie. And I also really like how Galvatron is basically kind of like Megatron, but actually even more cruel. And yeah, I think that Cyclonus would actually be a better leader of the Decepticons than Galvatron. I mean, he's actually more leadership material than either Megatron or Galvatron or Starscream. And yeah, overall, I will say that this episode is definitely better than Part 1. And in all honesty, I'm pretty excited for Part 3. But I think with that, that's gonna do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.